Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm going to be testing Forspoken on the Steam Deck. So, thanks to Square Enix for providing a code of the game. I'm laughing because this game on my previous video, it was on a desktop PC with multiple graphics cards. It was one of those games that ran very poorly, even on higher end stuff. So usually that means that the Steam Deck is basically unplayable, or you're going to do, I don't know, like less than 360p. Well, I was pretty surprised with the performance considering how it runs on the desktop. So this is native resolution, as you can see, 1280 by 800. Then on graphics, we got quality FSR, so the resolution decreases, 0% sharpness, model memory on low, texture memory on standard, so we can crank up the textures a tiny bit with the VRAM that we have. Model detail level on low, texture filtering on low, basically everything lowered to the minimum except in ambient occlusion, which is on standard instead of disabled, because it really affects the look of the game, and really it doesn't change that much on the performance side, at least in this case. So let's get right to it. I'm locked to 30 FPS using the Steam overlay. Then we're going to unlock the frame rate to show you. And considering the size of the screen on the Steam Deck, it doesn't look bad. I mean, the game already looks blurry by itself. And I'm in the open world because this part has more effects on screen. As you can see there, the draw distance is pretty poor. But I mean, it runs better than my desktop PC that has a better graphics card. Which is pretty odd. I was expecting way worse performance. And when I was testing this on the PC, I thought on the desktop, sorry, I keep getting confused there. I noticed that it was like a memory limitation, especially on 4GB cards. That was the main difficulty. And here, it makes sense. I mean, the VRAM is at 5GB, but the Steam Deck has like a VRAM pool up to 4GB. So the RAM that is used, the 16GB, are divided between the video memory. So it's sharing RAM and VRAM from the same pool. So we're using 10GB of RAM, and from those 10GB, from the 16GB, 10GB are being used as RAM, and 5.6GB are being used as VRAM. So yeah, the game doesn't have tons of system RAM to work with, but it has enough video memory to do so. If you want to have more memory available, make sure to lower the textures to low instead of standard. But as you can see, even on effect heavier scenes, in this case, that on my desktop PC I was getting drops below 30 very often. Here it's okay-ish. I mean, considering it's portable and the draw distance is very poor, it's not too bad. Yeah, I think this is the anisotropic filtering as well. Anyway. So yeah, I would say this is the way to play it on the Steam Deck if you are interested. You can also try the demo that is on the store page. But overall, I'm pretty impressed. I'm impressed in a way that the game runs so poorly on the desktop that the fact that it runs on the Steam Deck as it does is pretty impressive. I don't know about you guys. I'm blown away in that regard. Let's try a super special effect. This is probably going to destroy the frame rate. Okay, we dropped to 27 for a couple seconds, no big deal. And I'm testing this right now because I already finished the prologue. It was like 1 hour long, super slow. It was in a city that is not demanding at all. So my performance issues were happening here, basically. Jesus.
I wouldn't say good exactly.
Okay. How'd you like this?
Really immune.
This'll do it.
As you can see, it's 30 frames, but sometimes it drops below, especially with effects on screen and characters that have fur, such as this one. So yeah, it's not 100% perfect, but again, considering how it runs on my desktop computers, it's pretty nuts. And on the Steam Deck's screen, it really doesn't look bad at all. I mean, obviously we had to sacrifice the settings significantly, but still. The fact that it even gets to 30
Craving a slightly stiffer
very consistently-ish,
Maybe
it's
a
pretty
little.
good. Let's unlock the frame rate now. Okay, with the frame rate unlocked, as you can see, we're in the mid-30s in this part.
Hey, what's that
If you're in a
over there?
close location or in the prologue, you're probably going to get to 60 here and there, sometimes. And yeah, the ground looks terrible from a distance.
trying to get yourself killed?
Oh yeah.
Probably because the
Trying to do.
3D model... 3D model... Yeah, the 3D model memory is pretty low. Maybe it has to do with that.
There it is.
I didn't allocate a lot of memory to the 3D models, it's at the minimum. And I didn't do that because we're already using all the system RAM. Again, it's being shared between the VRAM and the RAM, those 16 gigabytes. So we're pushing it to the absolute limit, the amount of memory. If you still want to get a little bit more memory, just put the textures on low, and you should be good to go.
Block a little better.
But as you can see, unlocking the frame rate, at least in my opinion, doesn't make sense at all.
Stopping the first chance I get.
Because we're already into the 30s, and it's a little more inconsistent because we're pushing the hardware to its absolute limits. I'm so bad at this. I'm not paying attention. Okay, there with more effects I drop into 25. So yeah, definitely not perfect. And now super duper effect that kills everyone.
Ugh, I thought I
And let's get out. Why am I not using balanced FSR? Well, it looks significantly worse, at least in my opinion. And at the same time, the performance it still drops below 30. So, I don't know, I don't think it's worth doing. Excuse me, coming through. Okay, yeah, that thing into the distance looks terrible. I mean, look at that. Yeah, I mean, it was to be expected, still. Let's lock it to 30 again, and let me see if I can fix that draw distance thing. Maybe it's texture filtering, but probably not. Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with that. Maybe the draw distance. Yeah, the model detail is probably this. Huh, no, it's not. Yeah, then it's definitely the VRAM allocated to the 3D models. Maybe I'm a little bit too far with the video memory that it's using. So to fix that, my advice at least, is to either increase the model memory to standard and put this on low, but the game is going to have worse textures.
Is that the guild?
According to the map, it is.
So yeah, that's a way to do it. So muddier textures in general versus the draw distance of the textures not being so poor. And this is a boss fight. Whoops. And let's lock it to 30. Let's make it easier for the Steam Deck. There we go. Much better.
I don't like the look of this.
And if you want a tiny performance boost, disable ambient occlusion as well.
Got one for ya.
So yeah, definitely not perfect, but at least it's playable. Just make sure to lock it to 30. And if you're noticing that the game is not stable as you wish, lower those textures. Which will prompt you to go back to the main menu, but still.
Seems like the Appians are into tall buildings, huh?
It's said that the more towers a land has, the more prosperous it is. And the taller, the better.
Guess that's one thing this place and home have in common.
Although in this case, it might be more accurate to
Anyway,
say the more prosperous
I
it
think I saw enough. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, I'm blown away considering how it runs on desktop,
go on.
that it actually works on the Steam Deck. I'm pretty blown away in that regard, but the game still runs pretty poorly considering the visuals. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys, thank you for watching. And thanks to Square Enix again for providing a code.